Hi, it's Mike Morse. Welcome to Open Mic. We are live in the studio with guests. I am super excited to have Melvin Parsons, the founder of We the People Opportunity Farm, and Deshaun Leith, a formerly incarcerated individual who's now a paid intern. This is going to be a fabulous conversation that you're not going to want to miss. I'm blown away by what I'm reading here, and I can't wait to interview these two gentlemen, so stay tuned.
You never know who you're going to see.
Be one guy one-on-one my whole career.
What you're going to hear.
Got a lot of desperate people in the city.
Or what they've got to say.
When you can take people inside of a crime.
That's what you're going to hear on my podcast, Open Mic. Find it where you find your podcasts.
So Melvin Parsons, Deshaun Leith, welcome to Open Mic. I'm so happy to have you both here.
Hey, happy to be here. Thank you.
So this is like the first time I've had guests in my studio, it feels like, in years, which it's only been a few months, but this feels like a really good one to welcome our viewers and our listeners back. I was reading about you, Melvin, and what a program you have put together called We the People Opportunity Farm in Washtenaw County. Tell us about this incredible nonprofit that involves farming, feeding the needy, and helping formerly incarcerated people re-enter the real world after they're released.
Thanks for the kind words, Mike. I don't even know where to begin in relation to what. Let's see. It almost feels like somehow or another, me and quite a few incredible folks have gotten this airplane off the ground, and like we're building it while it's in the air, right? It's kind of like that.
So I love the analogy of building the airplane in the air.
Yeah.
When did you start?
Let's see. I started in 2014. I want to say 2014. And it was as a result of a chain of experiences. One which was I was living in a nonprofit organization's housing project where their mission is to end homelessness, and I was homeless. I've been homeless 3 times in my life.
Wow.
And I was living in one of their amazing places. Avalon Housing is the name of the organization, and they had created an edible garden program, like for the folks that lived there. If they wanted to grow some food, they would provide them some seedlings and give them some back-end support. They had raised vegetable beds there that people could take advantage of. And I lived there for 4 years up until that point. And every time that program came around, I didn't think twice about being involved in it. I didn't have any gardening or farming roots that I was connected to in that way. And so it came and it went as far as it went for me. And then in the winter of 2013, this wonderful lady named Verna, who got around in a mobilized wheelchair, passed away, and she was a prolific gardener. And the following spring, Mike, I wound up inheriting her 3x9 foot vegetable bed. And I didn't ask for that damn vegetable bed. It just landed in my lap. And I said, man, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? And I just kind of rolled with it. And I was given some seedling and some back-end support. And so...
What did you grow that first summer?
I had a couple of pepper plants in there. I had a watermelon plant in there. I had a cucumber plant, a couple herbs or something like that. But what happened was, and that was in the month of April, and in that same month, I saw a documentary called Food Inc. And Food Inc. is a very revealing documentary about how these foods that we're being told to eat aren't actually good for us to eat, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a McDonald's being in a hospital, right? That kind of thing there. And also I turned 50 that month of that year. So I've got like this midlife crisis going on, but I'm poor, so I can't buy a Corvette. And so I said, well, maybe I'll change my relationship with food. And so that led me to go down to an amazing farmer's market in Ann Arbor in Carytown.
I go there often. I
Oh,
love
wow.
that farmer's market. Saturday mornings.
That farmer's market is robust and it's energetic and it's full of life. And I'll be down there trying to figure out what an heirloom tomato was or a radish or something. And I would see nobody that looked like me or Deshaun. And then I looked around at the farmers selling me my food, and none of them looked like me or Deshaun either. And I'm a firm believer that either you've got a seat at the table or it's your ass that's on the menu. And I'm a champion of social justice and social equality. And in one of those excursions down there, it felt like the universe opened up the heavens and it yelled down to me and it said, "Hey, Melvin, this is where I want you to sit at." And it feels like ever since then, Mike, the universe has not only conspired to make sure that I've got a seat at the table, but I've got a voice at the table. And if I don't mess this thing up, I've got an opportunity to set the table in some ways.
I got chills listening to you. So I'm very familiar with that farmers market, which is probably one of the best ones I've ever been to in the country. And I like to visit farmers markets when I visit other cities. And I like what you said that there weren't people who looked like you. How did you get the land? You're in Washtenaw County. You found some land. Is that an interesting story? How that all came up?
Man, everything about this whole journey is interesting.
We got time. Let's hear it.
No, I mean, I just, again, from my exposure to that farmer's market, the only thing I wanted to do, that was in 2014, 2015, and the only thing I wanted was to have a booth at that farmer's market, right? That's it. That's all I wanted in life, right? One day I'm going to have a booth at this farmer's market and I'm going to add some pepper to all of this salt, right? That kind of thing there. And I still don't have a booth at a farmer's market.
Oh boy, we got to work on that.
But it's on the way, right?
Yeah,
it's on the
sure.
way. Yeah. And so I went from that point there to like starting a community garden. And then there was an opportunity to do a community garden on the south side of Ypsilanti, where I currently live at. The south side of Ypsilanti is a kind of like a reflection and a mirror of like some areas in Detroit. It's resilient, but it's been hard hit. And there's some beautiful folks there, but there's not a lot of hope. There's not a lot of opportunity. And so, so I want to try to make a difference and an impact on that. I'm not sure how to go about it. But so I started a community garden there. And one day, here's a great story. So one day I'm out in this garden and, people would come by and they would see me. And I'm pretty, believe it or not, I'm more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. But when it comes to talking about this work, I can be pretty extroverted. But outside of it, I'm like a fish out of water.
Okay.
And so people will walk by and I'll be like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Melvin Parson. This is your garden. Please come over here." And, and people would say, "Oh, this is great. What you growing over there? Could you let me know when this is ready or when that's ready?" And I'm like to myself internally, "No, that's the wrong answer. What you should want to do is come over here and help," right? That sort of thing. And so one day I'm out there by myself and this kid pulls up on his bike and the kid says to me, "Can I help?" And I'm like, "Yes, you can," right? It's great. And so, and then the magic starts to happen. We start talking and the kid tells me that his name was Jamari and that day that he was out there at this garden was his birthday. And I thought to myself, man, this is not how someone should celebrate their birthday. Like this kid should be surrounded by family and love and all of this, all of this stuff, right? And then it made me realize how important spaces like this could be, that this kid somehow found his way in this space, that sort of thing there. And but the task that I gave him to do, just pull some weeds and stuff like that, and I looked back over there 10 minutes later, and like it looks like nothing had been done, right? I'm like, geez, and so I go, so I'm thinking about myself and all this noise inside my head, so I can't really connect with the kid in that way. So I say to the kid, basically, I say, man, thanks for coming out here. I really appreciate your help. This is your garden. You know, whenever you see me out, please feel free. But what I was really doing, in essence, was blowing him off because I didn't feel like he was doing what I needed him to do. And the kid could see that I was blowing him off, but I'm too busy thinking about me to make that connection to him. And so the kid gets on his bike and he takes off. And then another sky opening moment, something yells down to me and says, asshole.
The universe was calling you an asshole.
The universe calling me asshole. This is your garden. I mean, this is his garden. Your job is just to create this safe space and environment for him to nourish and to thrive and to grow and whatever needs to take place in this space. And so I got it, right? Like I got the message, right? But it's too late. The kid's gone. And so I start going back to what I was doing. And I said, man, if this kid would only come back, I got this message. I got it. And guess what, Mike? Kid comes back.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, hey, kid, would you still like to help me? Right? And he said, sure, I'll still help you. Yeah. And so he gets off his bike and he helps. And I give him something to do. And of course, I look over there a little bit later, you know, and he's not doing what, you know, but it doesn't even matter to me now because I get what this space is all about, you know. And then he gets to telling me his name. That's when he told me who he was and that that day was his birthday. And he wants to go to the University of Michigan and to study art. And he liked to have a PlayStation 3, I think it was at the time, like just normal kid stuff, right? He just wants to be, you know, dreams like any other kid, right? And unfortunately, in my community, or any community, not just mine, but any community where there's not a lot of hope and there's not a lot of opportunity and not a lot of resources, kids all day and every day with normal dreams that your kids have, that my kids have, that my grandson has, fall through the cracks. And so I made it my personal investment to make sure at least just this one kid that I could support in whatever ways that I could to make sure that kid doesn't fall through the cracks. So wow. I just wanted to share that story. It just came up when we were.
No, that's beautiful. So this community garden turned into how much land are you gardening right now?
Right. So that community garden, again, this thing has been morphing on me all during this time. And so it went from this community garden to in 2017, I had an opportunity to lease about a quarter acre of land at the time. And it was going to be a collaboration between myself and another organization, and that didn't work out. But I was left with the land, and I thought to myself, what the heck am I supposed to do with this?
That's a lot of land, a quarter acre.
A quarter acre is a lot of land, right? And up until this point, I really don't know what I'm doing in terms of like growing food. You know, I just threw some seeds in the ground the year before. The year before that, I was given some plants. So I don't know doodly squat really about growing food. And I just trust the universe. And I went out and got a rototiller and I started creating some vegetable beds, and I ordered about $1,200 worth of seedling plants. I had no idea how many plants those were. That's a ton of plants. Like $1,200 worth of plants is a lot of plants. But it was like the field of dreams. It was like when you start creating it, they come, right? You know, in that very same year in 2017, over 300 folks came out to volunteer some of their time in helping to create that space in that moment.
That must have felt pretty darn good.
It felt pretty, it did. Yeah, it felt good. Yeah, it felt unbelievable.
So 2017, quarter acre, lots of volunteers. You're growing What are you growing? Just to give me a visual. What are you growing? Tomatoes.
That year, I talked with someone. I said, "Hey, what should I grow out here, and what should I do with it?" They said, "Well, this is what you should grow." So I ordered a lot of kale plants. I ordered a lot of collard green plants. Ordered a lot of jalapeno pepper plants and a couple of herbs. And so I've got all this stuff growing. Now it's growing. People help me plant it. I've got all this stuff growing. And I realized, like, oh, shucks, now what am I supposed to do with this? So I called my dear friend Ari Weinswig. He's a co-owner of Zingerman's. And I said, "Hey, Ari, man, I'm growing all this food out here, but I don't know what the heck to do with it." And he says, "Hey, man, I'll buy something from you." Right? So they turned out to be like Zingerman's Roadhouse turned out to be our first customer.
Wow.
And, in that same year, I wound up selling food to like 17 restaurants in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. And the chefs would tell me, like, "Man, this is some amazing food." And I would say, "Oh, awesome." Because it wasn't intentional that I grew some amazing food. It just happened to turn out to be that way. But what was intentional was that I paid close attention to the soil. Like, something in me instinctively said, pay close attention to the soil. And so I would add good nutrients into the soil. I would add like worm compost tea and I would kind of like try to social work the plants, whatever the
Like
case.
talking to the plants
Well, a
and
little
singing
bit,
to the
yeah.
plants.
No, I didn't go so far as singing to them, right? But I would try to like nurture them in some way. And at the end of that incredible first year, it dawned on me that it's all about the soil. It's all about the soil. Like, you can be someone that doesn't know what they're doing, and if your soil's good, chances are what you're growing will flourish. But on the other spectrum, on the other end of that spectrum is you can be someone that knows exactly what you're doing. You can be the most brilliant farmer on the planet. And if your soil's not good, then chances are your plants will not flourish. And then because I got this dang on social work degree from Eastern Michigan in 2016, I was able to connect it in a different way. And it dawned on me the same thing applies to human beings. Like, it's all about our soil, right? And if our soil's good, chances are we'll flourish. Mm-hmm. And if our soil's not, chances are we won't.
Wow. So before we get to Deshaun, because I want to bring him into the conversation,
yes.
Just because this is how my brain works. So that was 2017. How many acres are you growing on now?
So we're, thanks for asking. So we're in a really good relationship with a church in Ypsilanti Township called Grace Fellowship Church House of Solutions, which is at 1301 South Harris Road. And that's where our farm is located on their property. And we've expanded to a half an acre right now.
Great.
And we just signed a multi-year lease agreement with them, and we hope to expand a little bit further from there. This year we hope to introduce like a beehive out at our farm and a monarch butterfly way station and all of these cool and wonderful things. And
I absolutely love everything you're saying. I love what you're doing. I can't wait to learn more about it today. We're not done with you yet, but I want to bring Deshaun Leith into the conversation.
Yes.
Welcome, Deshaun.
Thank you for having me.
So one of Melvin's tenets is to bring in lots of volunteers and to bring in formerly incarcerated interns, paid interns into the farm. So tell me about yourself and obviously you're open about the fact that you were in prison. Tell me what took you there and how long you were there and things like that.
All right, my name is Deshaun. Thank you for having me, Mike, and appreciate the good work you've been doing around Michigan and stuff. I actually did 8 years behind. My first 3 years I did when I was 18 for armed robbery and coming to prison at a young age, right off the streets. Like, I was that young dude that, came up to the farm asking for, just to be a part of the community, having fun. And that could have been me, the young boy, not having a birthday at home and stuff. So I grew up with a lifestyle of a struggle and poverty, and that led me to prison by making poor decisions. So I did 3 to 15 years, my first prison term, and I actually got out in 2015. And I came home with a mindset as I'm about to try to do good and find different opportunities to get me into a better place in life. So I took that mindset, but I didn't embrace the mindset. I still went to living a street life. So I actually got incarcerated again. And this time I had to do 5 years. And during that 5 years, this time I came 2015, and my first early release date was January 5th, 2021. I actually just got out.
Wow.
About 47 days ago, if I'm correct. But during that time, I told myself I wanted to be part of a change, not part of the problem. And the lifestyle I was living, I was going to be part of the problem if I continued to live that lifestyle. So while I was incarcerated, I changed my way of thinking, and I told myself, what do I want to go home and really do? What can I wake up to and have a passion for every day, no matter if it's a good day or a bad day? And I knew I had like an influence growing up, so I told myself, why not be part of something positive now? Show people that you can go to prison, change your life around, and come home and be a success story instead of a failure. And I started making arrangements while I was inside, getting connected with people, because actually I want to be a part of a nonprofit. Later down the line, actually have my own nonprofit dealing with young people, getting them off the streets and bringing the resources to them, and I started just building myself up into that. And I did 5 years, and I recently just got released, and I got a connection with Melvin through another nonprofit. I gave him my vision. I told him I want to be part of nonprofits around Washington County that is successful, that is actually intentional with the community, and I believe I could be a very good asset. And a guy connected me with Melvin, told me that he used food to really help people, and I was like amazed at that, because I'm like, wow, you can take a young guy off the streets with an apple and tell him, about a fruit, and then his life can go in a whole different direction. So I wanted to be a part of that, and Melvin took me in. Right now it's only been about a month, but great guy. The vision that he's got for the community is good, and I'm a part of it, and we want to make a change in Washington County, and we're looking forward to this upcoming year when COVID-19 release, where you can really get involved in the community. So that's really the basics about.
Wow, what an incredible story, Deshaun. I mean, so did you do any type of farming or do anything in when you were in prison?
We did have flower pots actually in prison and stuff. Like, you can go do your little seed and stuff, and you actually have to pay for like a flower bed, like $11 out your account. I was a part of that. I did some farming.
You did some of that.
Yeah.
And so did Melvin help you? So it's a paid internship he has you working, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you are you living on the farm or near the farm, or is there any living arrangements with that, or no?
Actually, no.
Okay. You've taken care of that. But so it seems like hard work. Are you looking forward to this coming up spring to help plant and tend to the ground and tend to the soil and bring your good energy and put it into that soil so you produce great plants and great fruit and vegetables?
Of course. Like I said, I can't believe, looking at an opportunity where you can bring like a soil food into the atmosphere to help people in the universe, it's a good thing.
So Melvin, farming is not an easy business, and I've read about it and I've seen documentaries on it. But using former inmates, tell me your thought process, because it sure sounds like you went out and specifically are looking for former inmates.
I am. I'm very intentional about that also. And the reason being is because I've spent 13 years of my life incarcerated off and on, kind of like an installment plan of sorts. I was a terrible criminal. I always got caught. And, that means I came home, I got locked up and come home. And even though I was brought up in really good soil, like I was raised by two wonderful people, my grandparents. I had a praying grandmother probably the main reason why I am where I am and who I am today. That's how I feel. But and my environment became more influential than the home that I was raised up in. But so I would come home and I have all these. I would be inside, incarcerated, and I've got all of these hopes and dreams and ambitions, and some of them were nefarious, right? All of them weren't good intent, but I had some good intent, and I would come home and I would come up against all of these barriers or all of these realities, that were designed, whether it's from policy decisions or whether it's systemic things that are already in place and have been in place for decades. It's designed in a way for me not to succeed, that sort of thing. And so, and I didn't have the wherewithal or I didn't have the support system to be able to endure that onslaught. So I would go back to doing what felt to be the easier, softer way, and and expose myself to my freedom being taken again. So I see it from that perspective.
That's really an interesting perspective.
Yeah, and so I want to design a program, that supports. Well, we are designing, myself, quite a few other people, our board of directors, a program that really, really is intentional about helping folks change the soil in their lives, in a way that supports them through this 9-month paid internship program. Like, we're going to pay our interns, we'll pay our interns $17 an hour to be with us, roughly 18 to 20 hours a week for those 9 months. And part of that is work out there at the farm, but also part of it is those community engagement pieces, right? That connects them back to community. Like, part of the program will be involved. They'll be involved with helping Habitat for Humanity with a housing project in the community. Another part of that part of our program they'll be connected to a financial literacy coach through United Way of Washtenaw County. Part of that program, they'll be connected with Michigan Works in their workshops and career development training series. So it's it's all of these things that we're feeling will make the whole, and plus they'll receive a lot of love and kindness and be treated with dignity and support from our organization. And then after that 9-month program is over, we'll, at the beginning, we do a needs assessment and determine what their needs are and what their goals are and what their objectives are. And during that whole 9 months with us, we do the best we can to help them meet those needs and objectives. And after that program is over, like Deshaun may want to start a nonprofit. Deshaun may want to go back to school. Deshaun may want to get a full-time job. Well, we're going to be there as best we can to make sure that those things happen.
Wow. I've said wow a few times this podcast. My head is exploding. One idea, I was just wondering if you've probably thought of this, Melvin, because you are quite the visionary. The two of you and others in your situation going into the prisons and teaching the current prisoners how to farm, how to garden, how to change the soil, and that changes their lives. I mean, what a neat opportunity that would be if that's something that would be allowed. I don't know. Have you thought of that?
Yeah, I have thought about that. And actually, I was just on the phone with some really good friends of mine and community partners from the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. And they have within their jail program a community garden. And we were just talking about that yesterday, about something like that unfolding.
That could be like your pre-internship program.
It could be.
So are all of your interns formerly incarcerated men?
They are, and women.
And women.
Yeah, this year we've got 2 women that'll be in our program.
I love that. How many total interns are you taking this year?
So this year, as a result, our constraint right now is space. And so we only are operating off a half an acre of land. And so, in terms of making sure those hours that they spend with us is viable to them and some other variants or variables, in that given space, it supports 4 interns.
Got it.
So maybe every half an acre can support 4 interns.
And are you looking to expand?
We are looking to expand. Again, we have this wonderful relationship with Grace Fellowship Church House of Solutions, and we're hoping that next year we'll be able to go from a half an acre to a full acre, which means we can bring and introduce more folks into our paid internship program.
And you're still selling food to restaurants.
Yes.
So the money that you're earning is going to pay for all the supplies, the interns, paying you, getting the word out and things like that. Correct?
I wish. I mean, and I say that because there's not a lot of money in farming. There's just, there's not a lot of money to support our work. We're fortunate enough to be able to generate some revenue based upon our sales to restaurants, but it's not enough to support, the work in its whole totality.
Yeah.
So we like last year we had a fundraising event, and it was an aggressive fundraising campaign, and it was going to be for 90 days. The goal was to raise $100,000 in 90 days. And we exceeded that by $25,000. Wow. Like we raised $125,000 in 90 days. And what was impressive about that to me, Mike, is that that was a result of over 470 folks donating and believing in our work. It wasn't like we got a grant for $100,000 and we raised $25,000. Grassroots, right? So that was very validating.
Hugely validating. You have a lot of fans.
Yeah, to what we were doing.
And so you're continuing with the fundraising. You get a little bit of income from the restaurant sales, and to hopefully grow this. Now, I've read a lot about your organization. It looks like you're having school field trips. You're welcoming volunteers with open arms, people who just want to come and, as you put it, sing a song, sit around and weed, just be in your energy, which, as I was reading this before I even met you, even now more so that I met you, I want to come and bring my kids and hang out in your energy and both your energy and but how can people find out about that if they want to come and tell me about welcoming school kids and others to the property?
Yeah, and great. We will, man. We're going to hold you. I'm going to hold you to that, Mike. I'm going to hold you to it. So one of the things, COVID's kind of shifted things a lot. And so our volunteer opportunities weren't as robust as they were in the past last year. And we still have to be mindful of that. And so what we're going to do this year is kind of like what we did last year. Like we're going to have like volunteer opportunities that are going to be more planned than in years past when I was starting out. Like every Saturday would have been like a helping hands day, and anybody and everybody could come on out. And last year we had to be more intentional, and we would send out to some folks who signed up and wanted to volunteer. We would send an email and say, hey, here's a volunteer opportunity coming up in a couple of weeks. Would you still be interested? And this is what it involves. And so we're going to operate from that perspective again this year. But if folks just simply want to, like if you wanted to bring yourself and your kids out there, right, on a Wednesday, like my information is available. Like you can call and say, hey, Farmer Parson, or hey, Melvin, hey man, I want to bring, yeah, come on, bring them on out, man.
Fabulous. What's what if people want to sign up for your newsletter or information that you're sending out?
Yeah.
Where do they go for that?
They can go to our website, which is WeThePeopleOpportunityFarm.org, or they can type in WTPOF.org. Click on our Contact Us page, scroll down a little bit, leave a message there, and check the box that they would like to volunteer, and then then that way they'll be in our
Database.
Thank you. Database, and then we'll reach out in that way there.
We're going to put all your information for anybody listening and watching onto our pages. So we're going to share all your information. They don't have to be writing it down, especially if they're driving. But, as I'm thinking about this, and, you mentioned you were in and out of prison several times. Deshaun mentioned twice, and you're still a young man. Do you believe that this internship is going to break the cycle of incarceration for you?
For me, myself, I say yes, because it's like when you have opportunities to better yourself, you have to embrace it, because the world we live in is not a lot of opportunities, for coming home with I have 13 felonies, so having a person that give me that opportunity.
Well, what do you feel? Tell me about that. I mean, what do you think of Farmer Melvin here to, giving you this chance and setting this up? How does that make you feel? How grateful are you for him?
I'm very grateful. It made me feel if they wanted me to vote for American Ann Arbor, Michigan Citizen of the Year or something, I have to put him at the top. Because, like I say, man, there's many opportunities if you put yourself out there to do, and I'm just very appreciated.
I mean, his energy is so warm and inviting and open arms. Other than him, have you, since you've been home for 46 days, have you felt this kind of love from anybody else?
He's top. He's top right now. He's
amazing.
giving me more love than my own family. So
it's an amazing story. Before I do interviews, I'm given lots of materials to read, and I don't usually say this in my podcasts, but I was really blown away by. You don't even call it a mission statement, Melvin, but I loved your wording around your mission, and I'm going to share some of those. And actually, you call it a motto, so motto, mission is the same thing. And we've already talked about change the soil, and which I think is such a great metaphor. And you have 5 other mottos. Radically inclusive, including
our values,
your values.
Yeah.
You're including everyone, especially accepting and accommodating people who have been historically excluded. You honor different identities, ideas, experiences, invite everyone, especially those who have been historically excluded, into the pursuit of your mission. And we've talked about prior incarcerated people. I think that's amazing. In your second one is intentionally collaborative. You cannot meet our mission. We cannot meet our mission without you. We invite you into our work. We value the power of collective thinking and impact, even when it's challenging. I think that is, something moving about that. You are courageously disruptive. In all that we do, we will stretch ourselves and those we work with alongside to challenge the prison industrial complex. What do you mean by that last one? Well, I don't know what the prison industrial complex, I think I understand what that means, but explain it to me.
Well, the prison industrial complex was created, it depends on how far back I want to go with this. I almost want to say the prison industrial complex was created once the Emancipation Proclamation got signed. And, immediately they started locking up black boys and black men, to do the work that slaves were doing, because there's that clause in the 13th Amendment that says that you're free unless, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where the origin of the prison industrial complex was born. But then a few decades ago, it really escalated, and now I don't know how many millions of men and women are locked up currently, and how many corporations benefit from that. I mean, prisons are built under the guise that an agreement that they will be at least kept at, let's say 93% capacity for the next 20 years or something like that, like these kind of agreements. Michelle Alexander wrote a beautiful book, The New Jim Crow. I think a lot of people have read it. If they haven't read it, I certainly would encourage people to read it. And there's a great documentary that I was just referencing, the 13th. It's called 13th.
I've seen it. Phenomenal,
Powerful,
powerful,
right? Powerful, right?
Emotional.
Really emotional.
I went from that to Just Mercy in the same weekend. Yeah. I mean, you can't stop crying.
Oh man.
It's interesting. You're in Washtenaw County. Some really good changes are happening in Washtenaw County. You have a new prosecutor who's really shaking things up there, and he's doing a really good job. He just ended, I believe, the cash bail system. We've had people from the Bail Project here, and that's like, I think that's going to hopefully be a national leader. The entire state of, I don't want to get this wrong, I think the entire state of Illinois just got rid of a cash bail system. Mm-hmm. But Washtenaw County, I think, is the first in Michigan to do that, and hopefully other counties will follow.
Hopefully so.
But get the young men and women home from jail while they're awaiting their trials, while they're awaiting their sentencing, while they're awaiting everything.
Right.
And I just think that's powerful.
They're just there because they're poor.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
They're
It's
poor.
not fair. There's not a level playing field, because if you have money to get out to prepare for your case, poor people should have the same right.
Sure.
And they pointed out to me, and I learned that you will have better outcome. The people waiting in jail will have a better outcome if they're home collaborating with their family and their lawyer, as opposed to being locked up until their trial.
Right.
I don't remember the exact statistics, but it was impressive. Your fourth mission statement is rooted in justice. I like this one as well. You're a farming community, but you're rooted in justice. We will work vigorously for freedom and justice for formerly incarcerated Black, Indigenous, Latinx, people of color, and by extension, all incarcerated people. I mean, we've talked about that, but I just think that's so fabulous. And you're committed to growth. We will steward all of our resources with integrity, love, and respect for the earth. This, in turn, fuels our beliefs that all living things, when nurtured in good soil, given sun and water, will flourish. What a fabulous mission statement. I have not read anything like this. I read lots of businesses' mission statements. I read a lot of business books because of the business I'm in. And this was the most creative, the most genuine, the most heartfelt. When I read that the first time, I thought, this can't fail. I mean, with your energy and what you're doing here, it's just, it's fabulous, and just fabulous. And congratulations on doing this. And, I know that you have lots of things coming up, and you are teaming with some other communities to get leadership training at the farm, which I think is interesting and fascinating to teach leadership and collaborate with people who want to teach leadership based upon what you're doing is just amazing.
Thanks, Mike. I'm going to say that my board of directors will, when they hear this podcast, they'll be so overjoyed that you brought up these values that we worked hard at creating. Like we were like very intentional about those values and what they said and what they represented and how they came off to people. So I mean, it fills my heart with joy that, it resonated with you in that way.
It really did. I mean, we call them core values, which mission statement, core values. And, I'm a big believer that when you sit down with your board and you come up with core values, it's not things that you hope to become.
Right.
These 5 core values are things that are living and breathing inside of you right now, and hopefully your board members,
Right.
and hopefully every single person you bring onto the farm.
Yeah.
Hopefully, young Deshaun here has those 5 core values, and that you make sure that somebody has those values before you bring them on. And if you do that, you will not be able to fail.
Yeah.
That is my belief.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, Melvin, for my beautiful T-shirt. What a nice quality shirt this is. I'm going to wear it with pride.
Thank you.
And in fact, we're going to take a picture, the 3 of us. I'm going to put this on, and we're going to take a picture. We'll put it on our social media.
All right.
I encourage everybody. I'm just looking at this picture now with the handcuffs and the
It's the
chains. The chains. I
They're
said
broken.
handcuffs.
They're
Broken
right
chains.
there, yeah.
With a nice, beautiful pink radish in the middle.
Yeah.
We the People, Opportunity Farm. I mean, this is just incredible. I'm blown away. I can't wait to come check it out. I see that you got these printed in Ann Arbor.
We did.
Yep. Which is
Ann Arbor T-shirt company. We, now that you brought that up, I've got to send a shout out to Jerry and those folks for all of their wonderful support, and send a shout out to our another partner, Brent Embry, who helped design that logo. And yeah, I mean, I sit here and I'm super humble, because I think that, I think about all the people whose shoulders I stand on, right? That allows me to be here in this space. It really is. It's been an incredible journey, and there's so much more to come. And it really is we the people, right?
it's listen, I said it already. I can't see how you could fail keeping up this energy. You have my commitment from my law firm that we're going to make a nice donation to your cause. And when you need people out there or want people out there, we're going to help you bring people. I see you. I have a vision of you with many, many acres under your belt one day, growing wonderful, beautiful, healthy food, serving the community. I know, we didn't even talk about this yet as I'm wrapping it up here, but you give away a lot of this food for free, I read.
Right.
It's not just for profit to some of the businesses. You're giving away this amazing, soulful food to people who can't afford it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike. Last year, as a result of COVID-19, we weren't sure what that relationship would look like with the restaurants. And then, and we thought about, as an organization, how can we be the best community partner we can be in these challenging times? And so what we decided was to shift part of our business model and make sure that a portion of what we grew out at the farm wound up on the tables of our surrounding neighbors in our community. And with the help of United Way of Washtenaw County and the Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation, we were able to receive some funding that would support us in a way to be able to shift that. And last year, as a result, we gave away over, which is not a lot, but it feels like a lot to us. Like we gave away over 1,200 pounds of food back into our community.
It sounds like a lot to me.
But I know individually, I can't eat 1,200 pounds of food. but more importantly for me, and more importantly for our organization, is that we met over 300 new people in the process. Like, we got a chance to say hello.
People who are just singing your praises, and supporters, energetically, hopefully financially one day, but supporters of We the People Opportunity Farm. And what's it going to take? I mean, for you to have a booth at the Ann Arbor Farmers Market. Tell me about that vision and that dream, and that, were you serious about that? I mean, is that something you really want to happen?
I mean, I do want it to happen. I want it to happen for several reasons. One, because what I first talked about, having a seat at the table in those spaces, but also two, because of this program that we're developing, this soil enriching, this 9-month paid internship program. I think it would be a great opportunity, an experience for our interns, right, to be on that end of things, selling the products that we grow at the farmers market, and meeting new people, and telling folks about us and who we are, and sharing their stories, and and even just from the business side, keeping track and data and, and all of that maintenance part, I think those are really good, enriching experiences.
1,000%. I mean, I see it. I see you guys there. I see you both there. I see the community loving the fact that you're there and getting to know your story and hearing about you guys and supporting it. I mean, what better place than Ann Arbor in Washtenaw County, because just what a wonderful community it is up there.
Yeah.
Lots of good friends. I'm up there a lot. I've tried a case in Washtenaw County Circuit Court. I have lots of experience up there over my lifetime. But if there's anything you need from me, will you please reach out and let me know?
Yes.
I'm going to give you my personal contact stuff when we leave here today. And if anything I can do to help either one of you, let me know, or this program.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you both for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to come down and talk to me and sharing your vision. And I look forward to watching the future because I know it's going to be bright.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and or watching Open Mic today with Melvin Parsons and Deshaun Leith. I hope you were as blown away by this story as I was. All of their information is listed here in our social media and on the show notes. Please connect with them, donate to them, volunteer with them. Go and buy one of these beautiful t-shirts if they'll sell them to you. I'm not even sure they're selling them. They have shirts, they have pins. I'm sure they have other great stuff. But I got more chills during this podcast than I have in many, many others, and I'm blown away by these guys. So I just can't wait to see what happens with this organization because I am anticipating great things. Please share this episode with people who need to see it, like it, comment, and stay tuned for another episode of Open Mic. Thank you.